Alright, so we'll do the spoilers discussion now. I want to do this kind of a little more informally. I don't have any notes written down about anything, and it's been a couple months actually since I've read this book. I've kind of just been sitting back thinking about whether or not to do this review. So if you're here expecting like really well thought out spoilers discussion, I'm afraid I might glance over some things a little bit. I just kind of wanted to get my feelings across more in the spoilers discussion. So yeah, I think this is a really good book. I remember though when I was reading it, like when I got to the middle part with the relationship between Matt and Nina, I had to put the book down for a little bit because I'm like, man, this is like, I kind of like these characters, but like the story that's going on right now is just kind of dragging its feet, and we're waiting for kind of like the final act to happen for them to pull off this heist, and it's kind of this like really slow kind of slog to get to that part. And I don't know, I didn't really enjoy it because like right before this scene we had like some amazing fight scene going on, and everyone jumps on the boat and people are hurt and we're leaving, and then it's just like it slows to a crawl. The story slams on the brakes, and suddenly we're talking about this love backstory while we're sailing across to this fortification, I guess. And yeah, I just remember I was a little bit bored. Like it was kind of interesting, but so that's kind of the biggest gripe I probably have with this book. Obviously, I'm sure a lot of people were a little disappointed kind of with the really cliffhanger sort of ending that we were left on. I'm okay with it, I guess. It does feel kind of like it was forced into the story, and like you can tell it's kind of this, it's not really naturally unfolding, that the author kind of injected it. I feel like Six of Crows could have been a standalone novel, and I haven't read the sequel yet, but I've heard that some people feel like it wasn't really necessary, but I don't know too much about that, so I can't really say. I was disappointed at the start. I covered this book in one of my previous videos where I said the opening was really good, and the opening is like fantastic. Like especially the opening line with Juiced and his mustache. And I kind of like the Juiced character that she was developing. And I feel like who was the other character? I think it was Wylan. I feel like Juiced could have replaced Wylan in this story, and that's how this like Lee Bardugo could have connected this introduction to the rest of the story. And I feel like that would have been good, because as everyone knows who's read the book and is in the spoilers discussion right now, Lee Bardugo basically just killed off Juiced with this girl who got magically injected with this drug, and this girl went on a rampage and killed everybody kind of around the mansion, all the guards and everything, and then went off and killed herself in the water somewhere. So talk about tying up loose ends. I mean, I guess that's one way to get it out of the story and to introduce like kind of the magic of the story. But I don't know. It's kind of disappointing. I feel like it could have been tied in a little bit better. Maybe I'm just nitpicking at this point, but that's kind of how I feel about it. Like it should have maybe been incorporated into the plot. I think Wylan's character could have been Juiced, and it would have worked out probably just fine. All right, what else do I have to say? I did enjoy, like, I've been talking about a lot of negatives, but I did enjoy Kaz's backstory, and I thought it was really fascinating, kind of how he was scammed, and how his brother and him ended up in, like, the situation they did. Like, that was a really great backstory. Far outshines just about any other backstory in the book. And, what else? Oh yeah, and I have seen that some authors have been saying, like, that's one of the big criticisms of this book, is that the characters don't feel like kids. They feel like they're adults. But I mean, if you have these characters that are like like if you have characters that have been prostitutes and have been like slaves, and in Kaz's case, if your brother's died and you've been forced to kind of provide yourself on the street, I think you mature pretty fast. And the characters do have these moments where they're joking around with each other and kind of taking shots at each other in kind of this playful manner, reminiscent of like kids. But then when it comes down, like when it comes time to do the job, everyone kind of like flips the switch and like puts their mature face on, kind of. And I think that's realistic, and I don't think that's a valid criticism for this book to say that the characters act way older than they should, because these characters have had quite a bit of life experience on the streets, and so for them to act mature is in no way something that is a gripe. I did have a bit of a, like, one of the big things that kind of bothered me when I was reading it, well, I guess it's not big, it's just kind of a small thing, is how the magic booster drug kind of was used at the end. I can't remember the names of things. I hope you guys forgive me. It's been like months since I've read this. I just wanted to share kind of what I remember about this book, because what I remember at this point is probably actually how I felt, because I can remember it. When I think it's Nina takes the drug at the very end, and she kind of uses her, I think it's Heartrender power, or Heartseeker or something like that, to cripple this army that's waiting for them after they escape the compound. I felt like, I don't know, it was kind of, I mean, the sacrifice is that, you know, she's addicted to this drug, and we don't really get to see the full extent of the consequences from that. And it was like I was talking about earlier with the Deus Ex Machina stuff. It was, I don't know, it was definitely kind of like a pizzazz wow moment of the book, but since we really didn't get to see the consequences directly from this, like in their full form, because we have to wait to the sequel, it did feel a little bit cheap. But I mean, it was pretty cinematic, and I kind of appreciated it while I was reading it, even though in my mind I was a little bit like, yeah, this is silly. And I kind of felt the same way about the tank when they hopped into the tank at the compound and broke out with it. I'm like, wow, this is like some A-Team level kind of shit, jumping into the tank. And I mean, as an action sequence, I'm like, okay, I'll believe it. But yeah, it kind of did throw me for a little bit of a loop, but whatever. For like this, it's an action kind of thriller heist cinematic thing, I'll let it slide. Yeah, so I think I talked about everything I have to say for a spoilers discussion. Yeah, I really enjoyed this book. I think you guys, if you've been listening to the spoilers and haven't read it, you should read it too. I think you'll like it. And yeah, if you're going to criticize anything about this book, I would have to say it's probably just the middle. That's definitely where it comes apart a little bit at the seams, but the ending, I think, makes up for it with all the cool twists and everything. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this video. I might do some more book reviews in the future. I read quite a few actually over the summer, and I plan to do some reviews, but haven't got around to it. And I just wanted to see kind of how this video did. I'd imagine it won't be overly popular. This is an older book, and this review is late for me. But anyway, thank you for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day, and go buy this book when you get the chance. See ya.